101500 or 6200. Robert stands at his kitchen window, coffee mug warming his weathered hands. 200 6800. 0012 100 outside. His prize-winning rose garden waits in the morning light. Thorns catching dewdrops. 300 12 to 600. 00 17 to 500. But he doesn't see the beauty anymore. He sees only the weight of neglect. 400 more 17 700. 0 wars 21 500. The accusation of 6 months' worth of unpruned branches. 500 22 300. 000 27 500. His knees had whispered their protests first. Just a gentle creak when he'd knelt by the Mr. Lincoln roses. 600 28,000. 00 34 500. Then came the subtle vertigo. Not dramatic, not frightening, just unsettling. 700 35,000. 040 200. Like standing on a boat that rocks just enough to remind you that solid ground is an illusion. Zars 41,000. Chargeau 46,000. The garden had been his sanctuary for 37 years. After retirement, it became his identity. 900 46 500. 52 500. People knew him as Robert with the roses. Now, strangers walking by his house probably wondered what happened. 10 Sondern Zorn 53 400. 0 55 800. He sets down his mug. The coffee has gone cold. 11 sours. 56 900. 01 800. Have you ever felt an invisible wall growing between who you are today and who you used to be? 120102 300 01 500. It's not a dramatic collapse. It's a whisper. A whisper that says the joy of gardening is slowly slipping away. 1301 10 800. 01 17,000. Dr. Anya Sharma settles into her favorite reading chair, surrounded by plants that seem to lean toward her. 1401 17 to 500. 123 500 behind her. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves hold not just medical journals, but philosophy, poetry, and memoirs. Tapubuira 1 24,000. 30 Sind. Natural light streams through tall windows, illuminating the laugh lines around her eyes. Evidence of someone who's found joy. 1601 31,000. 01 36 500. For years, we've been taught to fight aging, she begins, her voice carrying the warmth of someone who's learned to listen. 1701 37 200. 01 42 500. But what if I told you that the enemy isn't time itself, but the noise inside our bodies? 1801 43 500. 147 800. She pauses, her fingers tracing the spine of a worn notebook, the one where she first wrote about her grandfather. 1901 48 800. 0150 or 200. My grandfather was a carpenter, not just any carpenter, an artist with wood. 2001 54 700. 02 01 009. He could coax furniture from timber that seemed to breathe with life. But in his 70s, I watched him begin to fade. 21 02 01 500, 02 07 500, not from disease, but from something more subtle. The fire in his eyes dimmed. His hands began to hesitate. 2202 08,000, 02 12 500. He complained of fog in his mind and heaviness in his joints. 2302 13 to 500. 02 19 200. Her voice softens, carrying the weight of memory. Doctor after doctor told him, that's just aging. 2402 19 800, 02 25 to 500. But I refused to accept that the man who had taught me to see beauty was destined to lose his essence. 2502 26,000 02 32 800. I realized he didn't need a miracle pill. He needed someone to help him turn down the volume on the noise inside his body. 2602 33 800 2 38 500. Sharma leans forward, her eyes meeting yours with gentle intensity. 2702 39,000 02 45 500. My philosophy is simple. The body whispers before it screams. Our job is to learn the language of the whispers. 2802 46,000 02 50 800, and often those first whispers come from what we're putting on our plates. 2902 51 800 02 57. Doctor. Sharma moves to a simple whiteboard, her hand sketching gentle curves and lines, not clinical diagrams. 3002 57 800 0303 500. Imagine your body as a high-end sound system, she says, drawing what looks like radio waves. 3103 04 7 3 10 Susan. Your brain is the broadcaster, sending clear signals about balance, energy, mood, and memory. 3203 10 800 03 15,000. She adds jagged lines cutting through the smooth waves. 3303 15 500 03 21,000. But chronic low-grade inflammation creates what I call inflammatory static. 3403 21 500 03 27 500. It's like having a radio stuck between stations. You can still hear the music, but it's distorted, unclear. 3503 28,000 03 31 500. Her pen traces the jagged lines with deliberate care. 3603 32 3 37 500. When the static is loud enough, brain fog happens. You can't quite hear the broadcast from your cognitive center. 3703 38,000 03 44,000. Dizziness and balance issues occur when the static interferes with signals to your inner ear. 3803 44 500 03 50,000. Joint pain is static right at the joint itself, drowning out the smooth communication between your brain and your body. 3903 50 800 03 53 500. She sets down the marker and turns back to the camera. 4003 54,000 500. The fascinating thing is that one of the biggest sources of this static is sitting in your freezer right now. 41 401 0,000 04 07 0,000. Foods that promise convenience but deliver chaos. Foods that look innocent but create electrical storms in your cells. 4204 08,000 04 13,000. She walks back to her chair, settling in with the practiced grace of someone who's had thousands of these conversations. 4304 13 800 04 21 500. The good news, we can learn to identify the static generators and discover the signal clarifiers for your body. 4404 22 800 04 28,000. Robert sits in his study, laptop open, talking to Dr. Sharma through a video call. 4504 28 500 04 33 500. It's not pain. Exactly, Robert says, his voice carrying the careful precision of a former history teacher. 4604 34,000 04 41,000. It's more like uncertainty. When I kneel down to prune, I feel this wave of dizziness, enough to make me doubt myself. 47 04 41 500 04 47 Sadahuzan. And my knees, they don't hurt. but they make these sounds that seem to echo in my bones. 4804, 47800, 04, 51. He glances toward the window, then back at the screen. 4904, 51, 500, 04, 57, 500. I used to know every plant in that garden, which roses needed more water, which ones were trying to tell me something. 5004, 58,000, 05, 04,000. Now I look at it and feel like I'm letting down old friends. It's not that I don't want to care for them. 51 as 5, 04, 500, 05, 07, 500. It's that I don't trust my body to let me. 5205, 8,000, 05, 14,000 san. His voice drops to almost a whisper. My wife says I'm being dramatic, but I feel like I'm losing conversation with myself. 5305, 14,500, 05, the 21, that's the Robert who could spend hours in the garden, who felt confident and capable. I can barely remember what that felt like. 54 is 522,000, 526,000. Dr. Sharma opens a freezer door, pulling out familiar packages. 5505, 26,500, or 533,000. Robert, this isn't your fault. We've been surrounded by convenience, marketed to by companies that prioritize shelf life over your life. 5605, 33,500, 38,000. But some of these convenient choices are turning up the volume on your body's static. 5705, 38,500, 543,000. She holds up a microwave breakfast sandwich, its packaging promising protein-packed energy. 5805, 43,500. 5 to 50,000. Processed breakfast sandwiches and similar convenience foods. These are electrical shocks to your system. 590550, 500, or 556 and 500. The high sodium creates pressure surges in your cardiovascular highways, while preservatives and ages are like throwing sand into the gears. 6005, 57, 500, or 601 thorcine. Next, she lifts a frozen pizza box. 61 as 06, 01, 500, 06, 08,000. Frozen pizza and heavily processed meals. Think of your circulatory system as a garden hose. When you flood it with sodium, the pressure builds. 6206 is 08, 500. 06, 14 is 500, your inner ear, which depends on precise fluid balance for equilibrium, gets caught in the chaos. 6306, 15,000, 06, 19,500. She picks up a tropical smoothie pack, its vibrant colors promising health. 6406, 20,000. 06, 26,000. Fruit smoothie packs and sweet breakfast options. These create what I call amplitude chaos. 6506, 26,500. 06, 33,000. Your blood sugar shoots up like a rocket, then crashes like a stone. It's like someone constantly grabbing the volume knob. 66, 06, 33,800. 06, 37,500. Finally, she holds up a package of frozen battered fish. 6706, 38,000. 06, 44,000. Highly processed foods with trans fats and damaged oils. These don't just create static, they damage the wiring itself. 6806, 44,500. 51,500. Trans fats integrate into your cell membranes, changing how signals pass through. It's like replacing the copper wiring in your house. 6906, 52,500. 06, 55,000. She closes the freezer door gently. 76, 55, 500. 07, 01, 800. These aren't just foods, Robert. They're daily decisions that either support clear communication in your body or create more noise. 71, 702, 800, 7, 500, doctor. Sharma returns to her chair, her expression shifting from teacher to collaborator. 72, 0708, 1000, 07 to 14 Zantanol. I'm not going to give you a rigid list of rules. Robert, I want to invite you into a 3-week experiment. 7307 14500, 7721. We're not going to eliminate foods. We're going to replace noisemakers with signal clarifiers. 7407 21 800, 07 26000. She leans forward, her voice taking on the excitement of someone sharing a secret. 7507 26 500, 07 33,000. Here's what I find fascinating. Your body is constantly giving you feedback. Right now, it's shouting over the static. 7607 33 500, 7 39,000. But when we clear the noise, those messages become whispers again. Gentle, clear, trustworthy. 77 739 800, 744 500. Robert nods, something flickering in his eyes. Perhaps the first spark of hope he's felt in months. 7807 45,000, 07 51 500. The experiment is simple. We're going to introduce 4 specific foods that act like high-quality signal processors. 7907 52,000, 07 55 500. She pauses, meeting his eyes through the screen. 8007 56,000. Your 2 Susans. And here's what I want you to pay attention to. Not just what changes in your body, but what changes in your relationship. 81 08 02 500 08 0. When the static clears, you might find yourself trusting your knees again. You might discover that the dizziness wasn't a permanent sentence. 82 8 09 800 08 14 800. Her voice softens. What do you say? Robert, are you ready to see what your body has been trying to tell you? 83 8 15 800 08. Doctor. Sharma opens the freezer again, this time pulling out 4 different packages, each one carefully chosen. 84 8 21 500, 08 27 500. Robert, meet your new signal processing team. Each of these foods has a specific job in clearing the static. 85 08 28,000, 08 32 500. She holds up a bag of frozen spinach, its deep green visible through the plastic. 86 08 33,000, 08 40 500. Here's what's happening at the molecular level. Spinach is packed with nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide. 87 8 41,000, 8 47 500. Think of nitric oxide as a highly skilled technician who goes through your blood vessels with a special tool. 88 08 48,000, 08 52,000. She sets the spinach down and picks up a pen, drawing on her whiteboard. 89 8 52 500, 08 58,000. When your blood vessels can carry more volume at lower pressure, 2 things happen. 90 08 58 500, 09 5000. First, your inner ear, which depends on precise blood flow for balance, gets a steady, reliable supply. 91 09 05 500, 09 11,000. Second, your brain gets the clean, oxygenated blood it needs to send clear signals throughout your body. 92 09 11 800, or 9 15,000. She looks directly at Robert. 93 09 15 500, 09 21 500. Remember that dizziness when you kneel down? That's often your inner ear trying to function with inconsistent blood flow. 94 09 22 500. 27,500. Next. She lifts a bag of frozen mixed berries, their colors vibrant even through the packaging. 9509, 28,000. No time 34,500. These aren't just antioxidants, they're anthocyanins, which function like microscopic janitors with very specific jobs. 96. 9. 35,000. 9. 40. 500. They travel along your neural pathways, cleaning up the inflammatory debris that creates signal interference. 9709. 41,000. 944 500. She traces lines on the whiteboard, showing pathways becoming clearer. 9809, 45,000, 952,000. Think of it this way. Inflammation creates cellular rust that slows down nerve transmission. Anthocyanins are like rust removers. 9909, 52,500, 09, 59,000. Clearer signals mean faster reflexes, better balance, and that mental sharpness you remember having. 100, 09, 59, 800. 10, 03, 500. She sets down the berries and picks up a package of wild-caught salmon. 101, 10, 4,000. 10, 11,000. Every nerve in your body is like an electrical wire, and it needs good insulation to prevent signal loss and interference. 100. 10, 11, 500. 10, 15,000. Her voice takes on a note of wonder. 103, 10, 15, 500. 10, 22,000. Here's the remarkable part. Your brain is nearly 60% fat, and the quality of that fat directly affects how well your neurons communicate. 104, 10, 22, 500. 10, 29,000. When you eat salmon, you're not just getting nutrition, you're upgrading the insulation on your body's electrical system. 105, 10, 29, 500. 10, 32,000. She looks at Robert again. 106, 10, 32, 500. 10, $39,000. That mental fog you mentioned often, it's not that your brain isn't working, it's that the signals are leaking out. 107, 10, 39, 800. 10, 45,000, finally. She holds up a bag of frozen edamame, shaking it slightly so the beans rattle. 108, 10, 45, 500. 10, 52,000. This might surprise you, but the most important signal clarifier isn't about cleaning up the noise. It's about providing consistent, reliable power. 109, 10, 52, 500. 10, 56, 500. She draws a steady line on the whiteboard, contrasting it with the jagged lines from earlier. 110, 10, 57,000. 1104,000. Unlike the blood sugar roller coaster from processed foods, edamame provides what I call battery pack nutrition. 111, 11, 04, 500. 11, 10,000. The combination of plant protein and fiber creates a slow, steady release of energy that keeps your entire system running smoothly. 112, 11, 10, 800. 11, 15,000. She sets down the edamame and looks thoughtfully at all four packages. 113, 11, 15, 500. 11, 21, 500. But here's what makes these foods truly powerful as a team. They work synergistically. 114, 11, 22,000. 11 to 29, 500. The spinach expands your delivery system. The berries clean up the interference. The salmon improves signal quality. And the edamame provides steady power. 115, 11, 30,000. 11, 33,000. She turns back to Robert. 116, 11, 33, 500. 11, 39,000. The experiment isn't about perfection. Robert, it's about curiosity. Try replacing one noisemaker with one signal clarifier each week. 117, 11, 39, 500. 1146,000. Pay attention to how your body responds. Does kneeling feel different? Does your energy stay more consistent? 1 to 18, 1146, 500. 1149, 500. Her voice softens with encouragement. 119, 1150,000. 1157, 500, remember. We're not just changing what you eat. We're changing the conversation between your brain and your body. 120, 1158,000. 12, so 300, 500. 3 weeks later. Robert steps out into his garden. The afternoon sun slants through the oak trees. 121, 12/4,000. 1208, 800. He's wearing his old gardening gloves, the ones he thought he'd never use again. 122, 1209, 500. 1215,000. He walks slowly to the Mr. Lincoln roses, their deep red blooms heavy with the weight of neglect. 123, 1215, 800. 1218,000. Robert kneels. 124, 1218, 500. 1225,000. Not the careful, fearful lowering of someone expecting betrayal, but the deliberate, purposeful kneeling of a man who trusts his knees. 125 and 1225, 500. 1232,000. He reaches for his pruning shears and begins to cut away the dead wood. Each snip is decisive, confident. 126 to 1232, 500. 1238, 500 as he works. He notices something remarkable. His hands are steady. His breathing is even. 127, 1239,000. 1245, 500. The subtle vertigo that had haunted him for months is simply absent, like a radio station that has finally tuned in clearly. 128, 1246,000. 1252, 500. He pauses, looking at his dirt-stained hands, then at the rose he's just freed from its tangle of dead growth. 129, 1253,000. 1259,000. A smile spreads across his face, the deep, satisfied smile of someone who has reclaimed something precious. 30, 1259, 800. 3025, 31. He stands slowly, brushing the dirt from his knees, and looks out over his garden with the eyes of its caretaker once again. 131, 1305, 800. 13's 10,000. I'm back, he whispers to the roses. And for the first time in months, he means it. 32, 13, 11,000. 13, 16,500. Sharma sits in her chair, a warm cup of tea in her hands, her eyes bright with the satisfaction of someone who has witnessed a small miracle. On 33, 13, 17,000. 13, 24,000. What you saw in Robert's garden wasn't magic. She begins, her voice carrying the wonder of someone who never tires of seeing the body's capacity for renewal. 134. 13's 24, 500. 1327, that's 500, it was communication. 35, 13, 28,000. 13 to 34, 500 for months. Robert's body had been shouting over the static, trying to tell him what it needed. 136, 13, 35,000. 13, 42, 500. The dizziness was his inner ear saying, I can't process balance signals clearly. The knee discomfort was his joint saying, I'm working harder. 37, 13, 43,000. 14, 46,000. She sets down her tea and leans forward. 138, 13, 46, 500. 1353,000. By replacing the noisemakers with signal clarifiers. Robert didn't just change his diet. He changed the conversation with his body. 39, 13, 53, 800. 14. Cousin. Her voice becomes more intimate, as if sharing a secret. But here's what really happened in that garden. Robert began to trust his body again. 140. 14. 500. 14. Trust is the foundation of vitality. When you believe your knees will support you, when you trust your balance, your body responds by becoming more trustworthy. 141. 1408. 800. 12,000. She pauses, her eyes meeting yours. 142. 12, 500. 20, 500. Robert's transformation wasn't about becoming a different person. It was about becoming himself again by listening to his body's whispers. 143. 21, 500. 27, 500. Dr. Sharma stands and walks to her window, looking out at her own small garden where herbs and vegetables grow in neat, purposeful rows. 144. 28,000. 35,000. Robert's story isn't really about 8 frozen foods, she says, her voice carrying the weight of deeper truth. It's about a larger principle. 145. 35, 500. 42,000. Just as Robert learned to recognize which plants were weeds, you can learn to identify what depletes your vitality and what nurtures it. 146. 42, 500. 46, the Pavunal. She turns back, her expression thoughtful. 47. 46, 500. 53,000. A master gardener doesn't just plant randomly. They understand their soil. They pay attention to what thrives and what struggles. 148. 53, 500. 57,000. Her voice grows more animated. 149. 57, 500. 5,000. Your body is the most sophisticated garden you'll ever tend. It's constantly communicating with you through energy levels, mood, sleep quality, and digestion. 150, 15, 05, 800, 10,000. She walks back to her chair, settling in with the grace of someone who has found her purpose. 151, 10, 500. 17,000. As you become more skilled at listening to your body's whispers, you'll start to notice patterns. 1 to 52, 17, 500. 24,000 downs. You'll discover which foods make you feel energized and which ones create that afternoon fog. 153, 24, 500. 29, 500. You'll begin to understand that your body isn't working against you. It's been trying to work with you all along. 154, 30,000. 33,000. She pauses, her eyes bright with possibility. 155, 33, 500. 40,000. The frozen foods are just the beginning. Once you learn to be a gardener for your body, you'll find yourself making choices that support your vitality. 156, 41,000. 46,000. Dr. Sharma looks directly into the camera, her expression warm but serious, like a trusted friend sharing something important. 157, 46, 500. 53,000. So my question for you today isn't, what will you eat? It's, what is your body whispering to you right now? 158, 53, 500. 59,000. What energy have you been missing? What confidence have you been longing to feel again? 159, 59, 500, 1602, 500. She leans forward slightly, her voice becoming more personal. 160, 1603,000, 1609,000. Maybe it's the hiking trail you used to love, but now it feels too challenging. Maybe it's playing on the floor with your grandchildren. 161, 1609, 500, 1613,000. Her voice fills with gentle urgency. 162, 1613, 500, 1620,000. I want you to start your own small experiment today. Choose one noisemaker to replace with one signal clarifier. 163, 1620, 500, 1626, 500. And then I want you to share in the comments below, what garden do you want to reclaim? 164, 1627,000, 1630,500. She pauses, letting the question settle. 165, 1631,000, 1635,500. I read every single comment, and I want to celebrate these small beginnings with you. 166, 1636,000, 1639,000. Her final words carry the weight of a promise. 167, 1639, 500, 1646, 500. Longevity isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. And that journey begins with the very next choice you make.